course I chose the literal hottest sweater I own to film this video. Good plan on my part. Sup nerds, welcome back to my channel. My name is Matt. If you're new here, I hope your day is going well. And today we're gonna do another rant review. I didn't think we were gonna do this one so very soon after the last book in the series that I just posted like 2 weeks ago. But the sequel, the third book in the trilogy, the book came into the library, so I decided, hell, you know what? Last year I gave you guys a Christmas rant review. Might as well keep up the tradition, shall we? So in this video we're going to be talking about The Crown of Gilded Bones, or as I like to call it, The Crown of Go Fuck Yourself. And this is the third book in the From Blood and Ash trilogy series. The first book I did the rant review last Christmas. We are going to end this 2021 off with a bang by ending this series with another review. If you didn't catch the last video, you probably may not know that this series follows a woman named Poppy. In the first book, she is considered the maiden. She wears a veil. She's not allowed to touch anybody. She meets a dude who happens to be some sort of secret prince, and shit ensues. So I'm not going to go into much like spoiler-free review here. I'm gonna be just launching into it. This review is going to be messy because I finished this book last night and I threw a whole bunch of words onto some like paper, and it's gonna be messy because this book is a mess. This series is a mess. I have no words, well I have lots of words to describe how much of a mess it is. And if you haven't watched the first two videos in this series, basically, I would recommend watching them first and then getting here, and then when you're ready to peruse into this video, we can do that. So if you didn't watch the last two videos, you probably don't know that this book starts off with a bang, let me tell you. Poppy basically breaks the bonds of the Wolvens with their Atlantean fellow people, and they all bond with her, and she just fucks shit up. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you did watch those last two videos, that's because I didn't even mention anything to do with the Wolven in the last two videos, or their bonds, because it wasn't very important and it honestly made no sense in this book. As I was reading these books, I have just decided not to give a fuck about the world building, so all I can really tell you is that the Atlanteans are like the good vampires, and the Ascended are the bad vampires, and the Wolvens are, it's kind of self-explanatory, they are basically werewolves. I will say that this book does try to make up for the fact that the second book in the series had zero fucking plot. This book starts off and just gets going real fast. We have Castiel dying, and then he's okay like 5 pages later, and then we have Poppy dying, but she's okay like 5 pages later. Does it stay on this level? No. I did forget to make a joke in the last video that I am going to make now. In the last book, there is a point in time where Castiel is, as you say, laying some pipe, as you do when you are the plumber in a fantasy novel. He's breaking Poppy's back like a glow stick, and bitch starts fucking glowing. Like, starts shimmering. She just turns like moon bright and does weird shit. Like, her powers in this book do whatever the fuck that she needs them to do at any point. Jennifer just needs to have Poppy do something, and she can do it at any given moment. Like, it's just, there's more on that later. I'm getting ahead of myself, but like, in the last book, bitch starts glowing, and in this book, she does that more often, basically, without having to have sex first. The only power that Jennifer does not give Poppy is the power of shutting the fuck up, because oh my god, this book is just as wordy and just as talky and just as stupid as the last one. So in this book, I didn't mention in the last video because it didn't actually fucking merit even a mention, was the fact that Poppy is now related to a god. This god is named Nyktos. And a decent part of this book is just us Rey Skywalkering Poppy's backstory and who her parents are, and I gotta tell you guys, I gave zero shits about who Poppy's parents were. Zero. And it's like most of this book and most of the shit that they talk about. It's honest to God, very boring and very stupid. So going back to the fact that Poppy gets murdered, she gets nerfed in between the titties, and she is like dying. Like, she's super almost dead, and we're like 100 pages into the book tops. And I thought for a second that she was gonna come back in her like Bella Swan era, vampire era, because Basically, she gets foisted into the Ascension by Castile, and that's how the vampires in this world become vampires. It's very unclear. So I thought we were gonna do some cool shit with that. I thought she was gonna get fangs. I thought she was gonna get, you know, like superpowers and shit like that. Well, she already has superpowers, but like I thought she was gonna be like, you know, Bella Swan vampire era Poppy, right? No, we didn't get that. No. This bitch has infinite power, but does she have fangs? No. That would be too cool for this book series. Also, in this book, do we get an answer about why she doesn't have fangs after she does the Ascension? No. No, we don't. Fuck you if you have questions. Speaking of fucking, there is also this whole thread of the concept of the joining, which is this threesome orgy thing, that's been like teased since book 2, I think. And do we get that in this book? No. We do get kind of like morally wrong voyeurism though. Once again, getting ahead of myself. So she does wake up after the Ascension and she wants blood. So she straight up attacks Kieran, which is Castile's best friend, if you don't remember, the Wolven guy. She straight up attacks him, but like she manages to not kill him, but she does manage to jump directly onto Castile's tool belt and immediately starts going at it. With Kieran still in the room, by the way. Disgusting! Plumbers have tool belts? So she comes out of the blood state and it's really unclear, like, if she needed blood anytime after that. Never, the plot points do not come back. Jennifer is the queen of plot points that are never returned to. Like, Sarah J Maas introduces more stuff, I feel like, and it's wrapped up more sufficiently than anything in this book series ever. Like, it is one of the most completely nonsensical timelines that I have ever read about, ever. And I read Hot Pterodactyl Boyfriend this year, so I think I have the ability to speak on nonsensical timelines. Basically what saved Poppy is Castiel like did a complete blood transfusion, and I guess that's kind of like cool, but like she's running on fuckboy's blood now, and I don't know if we're ever gonna return to that, but I have a feeling we're not. So they end up going to his parents' palace, I think. I don't know, the geography of this world and the time it takes them to travel places is just as bad as Game of Thrones season 8. So if you're asking me where anybody is at any given point, I do not know, and I'm not gonna check. I do know that at some point during this book, Castiel has to teach Poppy to wash her legs in a shower. Now going back to the Wolven bond situation, I do want to touch on this because I didn't really talk about it much in the last video, but it is really weird. Kieran and the other Wolven people kind of have this weird bond with like a chosen Atlantean, but they're basically enslaved to these people, and I don't think anyone's really picked up on how weird that is. And then in the beginning of this book, Poppy breaks those bonds and all of the Wolven are now bonded to her, and it becomes quite clear that it's a very Khaleesi moment and kind of weird. And then we get this scene where it's made also clear in the canon that the Wolven are super cool with public sex and they're more animalistic of a people. And I'm not gonna lie with you, I do not like that. I was very uncomfortable for that addition to this particular book series, and I'm getting really kind of sketched out by the amount of people on TikTok that really do commodify the kind of Sarah J Maas and this book series for darker skinned men having animalistic and like territorial qualities. It's just kind of weird and gross and fetishy. I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked. I don't have anything to back that up, but I didn't love it. But moving on. Basically, they're at some sort of party or something, and Poppy is watching Kieran have a girl go down on him, and she's like, oh, what is she doing? Because, by the way, she was a virgin 10 minutes ago, even though Castiel and her have been banging on every fucking horizontal surface they can find. And so she's like, I don't know what that is. What is she doing? And I'm not gonna lie, I really don't like it when a guy in a book is like, you don't have to when it comes to a blowjob, because it's like normalizing the concept that men are not like, hell yes, please give me a blowjob at all times. I just feel like, you know, he's been going down on her like nonstop since book 1, and she hasn't returned the favor, but like also like obviously don't pressure people, but like at the same time I'm just like, I was promised a threesome, or I've at least been told that there could be a threesome in this series, and we are getting to blowjobs in book 3? This video is getting demonetized. So I thought we were gonna actually have a sexy scene after this particular point, but no, Jennifer did not give that to us. Not on our blessed day of baby Jesus, no thank you. So despite the fact that Cass has been eating her punani like it's the fucking food pyramid, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Poppy has no even concept of choking on the eggplant, if you know what I'm saying. And let's take a quick whiplash back to the plot line. Cass is basically going to be the king now in Atlantean culture, even though his parents are still alive. And so he's like, yeah, by the way, Poppy, you're queen. And then we get this really long internal monologue about how she's never been trained to be queen. She doesn't really want to be queen. Shut the fuck up, bitch. You're gonna be queen. Like, this is a fantasy novel. Get with the picture. Cass Steele is ready to risk it all for her. Like, man is like, I love you more than I love my people. And I'm gonna be real with you, I also hate and I love you more than my people ass bitch. Because if you love me more than you love the job of running the country that you technically own, there's gonna be some problems because you were obviously not very good at your job. Girl boss, gaslight, gatekeep. But if you don't remember, mostly because I probably haven't even mentioned it, Castiel has a brother, an older brother, who happens to be the next in line for the throne. But this man has actually been like kidnapped by the bad vampires for the last 2 books. And we just kind of decide in this book that he's gonna be a little fucked in the head. So he's probably not gonna be able to be king. So Castiel's like, oh, I guess you could just twist my arm a little bit and I can take the kingship. Lordship. I can be the king. It's totally fine. I'd want that. I could do that. I could, you know, stuff. So Poppy and Castiel they're basically telling his parents, oh, by the way, we're gonna take your jobs. Poppy gets attacked by these faceless demon things and she screams at them and has a full conversation despite the fact that she's being attacked, because that's a running part of this fucking series. And also Poppy yells at his parents for some reason. I don't know. It's very strange. Poppy and Castiel just seem to be like that really awkward couple that you have to hang out with because they're part of your friend group. But they, like, if they're separated, they're fine. But if they're together, they're like disgustingly, annoyingly in love to the point of like it not being cute. Like, they make weird sexual jokes about each other all the time, and like you've definitely seen them like almost bang it out in like the middle of a party and you've had to tell them to stop like multiple times. Like that's the level that they're on. I don't like them at all. Oh, by the way, Poppy brings a kid back to life. Will that be important? No. I think I found out in the last video in the comments that Armentrout does not have a editor, and oh my god, I can see that in this book. I can see that she does not have an editor, and I can also see that, oh wow, she needs one. She needs one. There are also 2 different characters, one named Malik and one named Malik, and I'm gonna be real with you, I don't know which one's which. Poppy's brother shows up. Do you remember that Poppy has a brother? Poppy's brother shows up, but he doesn't show up where they are, so they have to go to where he is. He's been also kidnapped by well, he's not kidnapped. He's one of the bad vampires, and he's been mentioned a few times in passing, that, you know, he's one of the bad vampires, and Poppy's worried that, you know, he's like a bad vampire, even though he's like a bad vampire. And everybody's like, oh my god, this is a trap. And Poppy's like, ah, it's my brother. He'll never hurt me. And then he doesn't, actually. She was right for once. But he does tell her, go wake up Nyktos, that god she's related to, because the only thing that can kill the Revenant is Nyktos's guards. Do you know what the Revenant is? I don't either. Don't worry. It's not really important to this book part of this book. I think it'll be more important later on in whatever book series is coming out next. And now we're going to go over the part of the book where there's this like, will they, won't they go to war part, where Poppy's like, yeah, we're gonna fuck a bitch up, because there's like this queen of the Ascended, and she was the one that like kept Poppy veiled and stuff. And so Poppy doesn't like this person and she wants her brother back. So Poppy's like, yeah, I am down to fucking murder a bitch to get my brother back. But of course, you know, everybody else around Poppy is like, yeah, you know, that means we're gonna have to go to war. You're like 18 years old. We're all like 200 plus thousands of years old. We know what it's like to go to war. War isn't fun. Maybe we shouldn't jump to that particular idea first. Maybe we should try and negotiate, you know? So they do end up to go off to the god Nyktos to wake him up. For some reason, they have to wake him up. They get to wherever he supposedly is. There's some skeletons and some snakes, and Poppy goes all Indiana Jones and kills the snakes and the skeleton thingies with her shimmery light power. Also, additionally, she can like taste people's emotions, and I feel like she was like kind of like suppressing that, but like it just becomes incredibly annoying because there's scenes where she doesn't do it, and then there's other scenes that she's like, his anger tasted like chocolate, and I'm just like, bitch, what do you fucking mean by that? So then they go see the Blood Queen, which is the vampire queen, and they're like, hey, could you stop being a bitch and like be cool? And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that, but I will do a entirely unnecessary villain monologue all about the fact that Ian is on my side, the brother, and also Malik, which is Castile's brother, is also on my side. He was supposed to get married to Poppy because she was the maiden, and fuck all of you, I don't like you, I'm going to war. And I got this Revenant thing, which is kind of, I don't know, I can't even remember what it was supposed to look like because it just wasn't important at the time. And then Ian, Poppy's brother, gets sliced in half, like booty hole to butt chin, like just all the way up. Poppy gets attacked by the Revenant, and even though Nyktos had told her that she could defeat them on her own, she doesn't. And then even though she's like super strong and tough and shit, and that is once again really drilled home in this book, she doesn't defeat them, and Castile has to like sacrifice himself and like gets captured to save her life. And so then we end the book with her telling the Blood King, who I don't even remember was a character, that, hey, I'm gonna fucking fight for my man. And by the way, that Blood Queen we mentioned, yeah, she's Poppy's mom.
I am your mother.
So yeah, so that is this book. I love you guys. I love making these videos. I really do. Did any of that make sense? No? Good. There's apparently a Nyktos book that came out in October, like, that's supposedly like Persephone and Hades, but like from what I can tell from the reviews, it's very similar to From Blood and Ash, and I just like don't get it. This book, this new one, is over 600 pages. It's almost 700 pages, and I genuinely don't get it. I do not understand it. I don't get the hype. It's written terribly. Like, I do. So yeah. I feel like I had a book recommendation if you want something like this that's written well, and I can't remember what it was. Mostly because I feel like my brain is coming out of my eardrums, like just oozing out of my eardrums at this point. So if you guys like this video, just let me know in the comments down below. Give it a big thumbs up. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with this series, but you never know. The algorithm might really like it if I keep doing these rant reviews for you. But happy holidays. I hope you guys are having a lovely and safe holiday. I will see you guys probably in the next year. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye!